Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Luciano soon began cultivating ties with other younger mobsters who had been born in Italy, but began their criminal careers in the United States and chafed at their boss's conservatism. Luciano wanted to use lessons he learned from Rothstein to turn their gang activities into full-blown criminal enterprises. As the war progressed, this group came to include future mob leaders such as Costello, Genovese, Albert Anastasia, Joe Adonis, Joe Bonanno, Carlo Gambino, Joe Profaci, Tommy Gagliano, and Tommy Lucchese. They all believed their boss's greed and conservatism were keeping them poor, while the Irish and Jewish gangs got rich because they're working with everybody else. But no, these guys only want to work with the other guy or the homegrown guys. Lucky's vision was to form a National Crime Syndicate in which the Italian, Jewish, and Irish gangs they could pool their resources and turn organized crime into a lucrative business for all, an organization which he indeed did end up founding after a conference was hosted in Atlantic City by Luciano, Lansky, Costello, and Johnny Torrio in May 1929. Fast forward to October 1929, Lucky was forced into a limousine at gunpoint by three men, beaten, stabbed, strung up by his hands from a beam in a warehouse in Staten Island. Oh no. He survived the ordeal, but was forever marked with a scar and a droopy eye. Yeah, any picture you ever see for this guy, he's got it distinctly. The identity of his abductors was never established. When picked up by the police after the assault, Luciano said that he had no idea who did it either. 1953, Lucky, he told an interviewer that it was the police who kidnapped and beat him in an attempt to find Jack Leg's diamond. Another story was that Maranzano ordered the attack. Either or, whoever did it, he got his eye slashed. Busted him up. Early 1931, the Castellammarese War had turned against Masseria. Luciano saw an opportunity to switch allegiance. He struck up a secret deal with Maranzano, and Lucky agreed to engineer Masseria's death in return for receiving his rackets and becoming Maranzano's second in command. Adonis, he had joined the Masseria faction, and when Masseria heard about Luciano's betrayal, he approached Adonis about killing Lucky. However, Adonis instead warned Lucky about the murder plot. Oh, sucks to be Masseria because April 15, 1931, he was killed at Nuova Villa Tamaro, which was a Coney Island restaurant in Brooklyn. While they played cards, Luciano allegedly excused himself to go to the bathroom, at which point gunmen, which is reported to be Anastasia, Genovese, Adonis, and old Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, they supposedly entered the restaurant. Ciro Terranova drove the getaway car, but legend has it he was too shaken up to drive and to be shoved out of the driver's seat by Siegel. With Maranzano's blessing, Lucky, he took over Masseria's gang and he became Maranzano's lieutenant, ending the Castellammarese War. And Lucky's plotting again. With Masseria gone, Maranzano, he reorganized the Italian-American gangs in New York City into the five families that we know today. Well, they're different names, but the five families, which were headed by Luciano, Profaci, Gagliano, Vincent Mangano, and himself, obviously. Maranzano called a meeting of crime bosses in Wappingers Fall, New York, where he declared himself Capo di Tutti Capi, which means boss of all bosses. Shouldn't have done that, guy. Maranzano also whittled down the rival family's rackets in favor of his own. Luciano appeared to accept these changes, but was merely biding his time before removing Maranzano too. Although Maranzano was slightly more forward-thinking than Masseria, Lucky had come to believe that he was even greedier and more hidebound than Masseria had been, so we got to get rid of this guy. All these youngins, we're going to team together and take him out. Well, by September 1931, Maranzano, he's like, man, Luciano, he's a threat. So he hired Vincent Cole, who was an Irish gangster, to kill him. However, Lucchese alerted Luciano that he was marked for death. September 10th, Maranzano ordered Luciano, Genovese, and Costello to come to his office at the Helmsley Building in Manhattan. Convinced Maranzano was planning to murder them, Luciano, he said, I'm going to act first. He then sent 4 Jewish gangsters to Maranzano's office, secured with the aid of Lansky and Siegel, whose faces were unknown to Maranzano's people. Disguised as government agents, 2 of the gangsters disarmed Maranzano's bodyguards. Lucchese, he was there too. He identified Maranzano to the other 2 gangsters, who proceeded to stab the boss multiple times before shooting him. This assassination was the first of what would later be fabled as the Night of the Sicilian Vespers. Yeah, they started taking out everybody. Several days later, September 13th, the corpses of two of Maranzano's allies, Samuel Monaco and Louis Russo, they were retrieved from Newark Bay, showing signs of torture. Meanwhile, Joseph Saragusa, leader of the Pittsburgh crime family, he was killed in his home, shot to death. It ain't done because October 15th, the disappearance of Joe Artizan, which was head of the L.A. crime family, they would later be regarded as part of this alleged plan to quickly eliminate the Mustache Pete's, which the idea of an organized mass purge directed by Luciano, it's been debunked as a myth, though. I don't know. It sounds not like a myth to me. With the death of Maranzano, Luciano became the dominant crime boss in the United States. He had reached the pinnacle of the underworld, setting policies and directing activities along with the other mafia bosses. Of course, his own crime family would be the one that controlled lucrative criminal rackets in New York City, such as illegal gambling, extortion, bookmaking, loan sharking, and drug trafficking. He became very influential in labor union activities and controlled the Manhattan waterfront, the garbage hauling, construction, and garment district businesses, plus trucking. Everything. The shipping and manufacturing. Although there would have been a few objections had Luciano declared himself capo di tutti capi, he chose to abolish the title, believing the position created trouble between the families and made himself a target for another ambitious challenger. Yeah. He said, behind the scenes, I'll be the big guy, but I'm not going to call myself the big guy in public, but everybody will know. And everybody would know because instead, he chose to quietly maintain control by forging unofficial alliances with other bosses. At the same time, Luciano did not discard all of Maranzano's changes, as he believed that the ceremony of becoming a made man in a crime family was a Sicilian anachronism. Genovese ultimately persuaded Luciano to keep the ceremony, arguing that young people needed rituals to promote obedience to the family, right? Luciano, he remained committed to the omerta, which is the oath of silence to protect the families from legal prosecution. In addition, he kept Maranzano's structure of the five families in New York as well. Now, Lucky then elevated his most trusted Italian associates to high-level positions in what was now the Luciano crime family. Genovese, he became the underboss. Costello, the consigliere. Adonis, Michael Trigger Mike Capola, Anthony Strollo, Willie Moretti, and Anthony Carfano all served as capos. Because Lansky and Siegel were non-Italians, neither man could officially hold positions within any mafia family, but Lansky was a top advisor to Luciano, and Siegel was a trusted associate. Later in 1931, Lucky called a meeting in Chicago with various bosses, where he then proposed a commission to serve as the governing body for organized crime. Yep, you got to keep it within the family, no hits. It was designed to settle all disputes and decide which families controlled which territories. The commission has been called Luciano's greatest innovation. His goals with the commission were to quietly maintain his own power over all the families and to prevent future gang wars. The bosses approved of the commission, and it's underway. It was originally composed of representatives of the five families in New York, plus the Buffalo crime family and the Chicago outfit. Later, Philadelphia and Detroit were added, with smaller families being formally represented by a commission family.